Impresto makes really cool animated presentations that play in a browser. The first step is to create your presentation as layers in a large Photoshop document. Layers are organized into a sequence of slides by placing them in layer folders. We add a dash and the word slide to the end of each slide's folder name, and we call this a hint. Impresto supports a few different hints, but slide is by far the most common one. Where you place your layers is important because Impresto creates smooth transitions between slides, kind of like a magic camera that floats from one slide to the next. All the slides exist in the same 3D space. Layers that aren't in slide groups will appear in the show if the camera passes over them as it travels from slide to slide. If you rotate any slide that contains a type layer, then Impresto will smoothly rotate the camera to show the slide right side up as part of the transition in the browser. Here in Photoshop, it's simple to arrange your slides in 2 dimensions, like on a big piece of paper. We'll add the third dimension using Impresto's browser tools in just a bit. Impresto is built on our SiteGrinder platform. Whether you're using Impresto by itself or as an add-on to SiteGrinder, the next step is to open SiteGrinder from Photoshop's Automate menu under the File menu. This will launch the SiteGrinder engine application as well as the SiteGrinder plugin window. SiteGrinder recognizes an Impresto document automatically if you use any Impresto hints in your document, like slide. If SiteGrinder finds anything unusual about the document, it will show you the errors and warnings panel. If not, you'll see the suggested action panel. In this case, our show has never been built, so SiteGrinder provides us with a build button as our suggested action. Clicking Build will open a browser window with a preview of our show and a set of special tools on the left. This is called the Design Manager. At the top, we can see the progress of our build. When the build is complete, clicking the page listed here in the Pages pane will open our controls. We can use the arrow keys to navigate the show in sequence. If you've already clicked on the Design Manager controls, you may need to click in the area of the browser displaying the show before you press the arrow keys to navigate. You can also jump directly to any slide by opening the Impresto Slides panel and clicking on the slide name. These names come from the names we gave the slide layer folders in Photoshop. The purpose of the Design Manager is to allow us to modify aspects of our show that aren't possible to do in Photoshop. The browser provides a live preview of how those modifications look. Here, we can change global show settings, such as a background soundtrack and whether or not to auto-advance. We can change slide settings, including repositioning slides in 3D space and rotating them in 3D space. And we can change slide CSS, which includes things like background and border colors and slide transparency. To change global show settings, click the General Settings button at the bottom of the Impresto Slides panel. To change the position, rotation, or scale of a slide, click the Settings button next to the slide's name to open the Settings window. You can type values into the text areas, or you can drag the thumbs for a live preview. Once you've made your changes, you can preview the new transition using these arrow buttons to move to the previous slide and back. Now let's talk about CSS styles. When you first build a show, all slides have the default setting applied. This is handy because you can change the CSS styles of every slide by simply editing the default style. To edit a style, you click on the name of any slide that has that style and then click the Edit Style button. Once you edit a style here, all the slides using that style will change. You can edit many CSS settings here, and you can also provide different settings for slides to have depending on where they are relative to the currently displayed slide. General settings are settings for the slide to have at all times. Present settings are applied when the slide is the currently displayed slide. Not present settings are for when any other slide is the currently displayed slide. Past settings are for after the slide has been displayed and then been moved past. And finally, future settings are for when the slide has yet to be displayed. Right now, for example, slides with the default style are set to be fully opaque when present and only about 30% opaque when not present. This creates a fading in and out effect as we travel through the show. When you change a setting, you can click the Apply button to see how it looks. If you want to give a slide a different style from the others, you can click on the Style menu and choose New Style. You give the new style a name and set whatever settings you want the new style to have. Once you close the Style Editor window, your new style will be added to the Style menu so you can quickly apply it to other slides. When you're finished making changes in the Design Manager, you can return to the plugin window to save your show out to a folder. Because our show has been already built, the Suggested Action button has now changed to Save for convenience. When you select a folder, SiteGrinder will create all the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and other files needed for your show. Opening the HTML file, named after your Photoshop file, will display your final show in the browser. If you're using Impresto as a SiteGrinder add-on, you can also deploy your show to a SiteGrinder site where you can use Content Manager tools to continue to edit it. You may also choose to close the plugin window and make additional changes to your show in Photoshop. If you do this, you'll need to open SiteGrinder and build again before you can save out your show. Impresto has many more fun features that we'll explore in later videos.